Internally displaced persons of the recently demolished DURUMI camp in Abuja have appealed to the federal government to the raid by resettling them into new camps. Mariam Mohammed has more.
Terrorist activities in the northeast states of Borno, Yobe, Mawa, forcing thousands whose communities were destroyed by the insurgents to relocate. A sizable number of these internally displaced persons found their way to Abuja in search of refuge and have been here for years. Makeshift IDP camps sprung up in areas like DURUMI, Kuje, Kuchingoro, and have in time been recognized by the INGOs and other charity organizations who provided social amenities like school, healthcare centers, and water systems in these camps. By 2021, the FCTA recorded over 26,000 IDP residents in the FCT. The FCT authorities have had to deal with the influx of undesirable elements into the capital city with criminal activities on the rise, and focus has been drawn to IDP camps as harboring their criminal elements. That, coupled with the fact that the insecurity is still very much an issue across the country. Last December, demolitions were carried out by the FCTA just before Christmas to curb the rise of alleged criminal activities in the nation's capital. The IDP camp in DURUMI was one of the areas affected. TVC News was at the DURUMI camp to assess the situation. The IDPs have been left to fend for themselves, no food, no shelter, and no help in any form. Rebecca Issa is a widow who now lives in this rapidly constructed shelter within the demolished camp with her sister and her children. She tells us that surviving has become much harder for her and her family, as food and water have become hard to source for.
It is hard to survive. I am managing myself. There is no place to take my bath, cook. There is no food or a place to sleep.
Her nephew, Lawal Bala Sambo, who is a mechanic at the camp, laments that they fled to Abuja with hopes of finally having peace, but it appears they were mistaken in their projections.
So we come here, we think that we come to Abuja, we are going to have a peace. We come to Abuja, there is no peace in Abuja. Yes, there is no peace. Our parents, look at our parents, look at our children, look at the way they are living.
This elderly couple in the camp were also affected by the incident. Ibrahim Warda and his wife, Liatu Ibrahim, are appealing to the federal government to help get their lives back in order.
We need help from federal government, and if they don't want us to stay here, they should provide us with other shelter.
We find Liatu so to cover their temporary shelter once it has been built. This new shelter will be where the couple and their 2 children will reside. Their 2 children are in school and they will be unable to pay their fees this session due to these incidents.
I am sewing these sacks because we will use it to cover our shelter once it is built. We have 2 children in school. The school fees are very expensive, like 83,000 to 125,000 naira.
Adamu Abdullahi, a builder, is helping to rebuild shelters for the IDPs. He is not happy with the situation and would have loved to relocate, but he feels the crisis back home is yet to abate.
I'm not happy with the situation of things. There is no peace in our village. If there is, I won't be here. I am a builder. That is why I am able to rebuild my shelter.
That the camp harbored criminals, which is why it was demolished. He insisted that if the FCTA was suspicious about their activities, it should have carried out investigations rather than demolishing the camp. His argument that the land is not for the federal government but was given by an individual for IDPs to settle until there is peace in the northeast may explain why they also ran foul.
This land is not a federal government land, it's somebody's land. It's a Bullet International company. She's the one that they give these people. Let us sit down here till your own village is peace to go back.
All lands in the FCT belong to the federal government, with districts already demarcated for specific functions. Most of these IDPs come from Gwoza, a local government area in Borno State, which is known to be the center of the crisis. We contacted the FCTA to get their side of the story, but we got no response. We were able to get an interview from the Director General FCT Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, Abbas Garba Idris. While he sympathizes with the situation the IDPs find themselves, he points out that as far as the authorities are concerned, there are no existing IDP camps in Abuja. He describes where the IDPs currently reside as chosen settlements. Mr. Idris presents a compelling argument, noting that, according to the Kampala Convention, such arrangements as camps can only be established very close to the scene of the incident, which in this case is the northeast. Due to this, the authorities, he says, moved the IDPs from the FCT back to the northeast, refused to leave.
This would be the IDPs on this the situation they found themselves. But to clarify an issue that there is no camp existing in Abuja, IDP camps. All these places where there are IDPs are their own personal choosing settlement.
So far, the IDP camp in DURUMI was singled out for demolition due to investigation carried out by the authorities. The FEMA chief urges IDPs to fully cooperate with the security agencies and not to act in ways that will compromise the safety of the federal capital. And while they are free to stay in the FCT, they can't establish camps.
It's not a government settlement. We cannot resettle them. If we establish camp in the FCT, all the IDPs in the north to FCT. And that is the wisdom behind the Kampala Convention, that you can only establish camps closer to this incident scene.
These remain semantics. The reality on ground is that if the FCTA does not provide measures to provide relief for the IDPs suddenly left homeless, a humanitarian crisis may slowly be brewing. This is the state of the DURUMI IDP camp. The IDPs are trying to fix food and shelter for themselves without any help. They are now seeking compensations from the federal government. Maria Mohammed, TVC News, Abuja.
And finally, on the news tonight, a veteran Nollywood